There comes a time when an individual, blessed with the power to change the world, goes on something called the hero's journey. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's essentially a story template for heroes that go on adventures. He overcomes a decisive crisis and comes home a changed man than what he started out as. Redo of Healer doesn't go through any of this. Okay, that's a lie. It stops right about here, and it all goes downhill from there. Now, is this anime worth watching? Well, today we're following Kyaru in the first 5 episodes of his journey to determine exactly that. So stay tuned. Before we give you the meat of who Kyaru is as a person, it's important we go through a brief summary of what's happened so far. So Kyaru is this ordinary guy from this especially ordinary village, up until he gets the powers to become a hero, which at this point, Princess Fleur comes in and recruits him and brings him to her own kingdom of Jorel, where you would think that he would get taught and receive guidance on how to grow into his powers and become the hero he was meant to be. Yeah, nope. Turns out Fleur has this standing prejudice against healers like him and immediately sees him as this expendable tool that she could use to further her own ends. It doesn't really help that the other members of Kyaru's party exploit him just as much as Fleur does. Blade and Bullet have their own twisted ways of making sure Kyaru's life is a living hell across their journeys. Now things all come to a head when the hero's party encounter the Demon Lord herself. After an intense and grueling battle, Fleur, Blade, and Bullet are left beaten and battered and turn to Kyaru to heal them up so they can finish the Demon Lord off. Unbeknownst to them, Kyaru has gained an immunity from the drugs they've been giving him and has been silently waiting for his opportunity to get back at them. He lands the final blow and keeps the Philosopher's Stone that the Demon Lord drops to himself, rather than let Fleur and her kingdom use it for their own ends. It's here he uses his healing powers to activate the stone and turn back time to before they met, vowing vengeance as his magic takes hold on the world, and this is where the road to Kyaru's revenge begins. Now that we have a general idea what's going on, let's put our focus back on the main character himself. Kyaru is a man of intense focus and discipline. Right after he's reborn and links back up with Fleur, he forces himself to endure the painful drawbacks of his power to get stronger, most notably willingly getting drugged and turning into an addict again and bearing with the humiliation just to get the upper hand. There's also only one goal on his mind after his rebirth, and that's revenge. Whatever noble goals he had back then in his past life, it's been replaced with this one singular purpose. He really wants to torment those that did the same to him, and the good that comes out of that is really just a bonus as far as he's concerned. Make no mistake, Kyaru is a broken man. The madness that consumed him when he was under Fleur's thrall has followed him to this life. Only one thing brings this man satisfaction, and there is only one thing that drives him. Now, any ambitious hero on the road to payback knows he can't do this alone. Luckily for him, Kyaru has 2 lovely companions that have taken Kyaru's main objective as their own. First, we have Freya. You'll know her better as the once lovely Princess Fleur, before Kyaru brutally tortures and wipes her memory clean. Freya's personality is a complete contrast to the person she once was. She has that air of kindness and patience, and an overwhelming loyalty for our hero. She still retains all that destructive potential from her past life, and is a key asset to his team. We also have Setsuna, an ice wolf warrior who Kyaru buys from a slave merchant. She harbors a large grudge towards the humans that have ransacked and kidnapped her fellow villagers. Kyaru notices her lust for this, and this is one of the reasons he lets her join them in the first place, because he sees himself in her. She has enhanced strength and agility, and uses her ice claws as her primary weapon in combat. And now we have, as of episode 5 at least, the last member to join the party, Kureha Clyrite herself, the first person Kyaru actually heals, and whose infamous sword style he copied with his healing powers. She joins Kyaru after a fierce encounter, and is convinced to join because of a convincing performance of Freya playing as Fleur herself. She seems to be an absurdly good swordsman, and was only really incapacitated through Kyaru's wit and guile. Alright, now let's take a look at what Kyaru is capable of. To exact his revenge against an entire kingdom no less, you would need some crazy broken weapon, or magic to help you achieve that. To no one's surprise, Kyaru's got that covered. His heal ability is so versatile and powerful, you would think the healing part was just the side effect. Okay, so his healing ability, while powerful, does come with the one huge drawback, and that's essentially feeling the same trauma that person felt when they got wounded. So for example, if you got your arm cut off and Kiara were to heal that lost arm back, he would essentially feel the same trauma and pain you experienced, and initially the pain is sometimes enough for him to pass out, but eventually it gets to a point where you don't even see him react to healing someone anymore. Also, he is able to gain the fighting abilities and other skills of a person he heals. Being forced to repeatedly heal the injured heroes and warriors, Flare unknowingly gave Kiaru the martial edge he needed. Most importantly, he can also shapeshift himself to avoid detection. This is how he ended up cornering Flare in the first place. He can also change people's memories and change other people's appearances as well. Poor Renard. Okay, so we know the basic premise of the story, we know about who Kiaru is as a person and what he's capable of, but what do you expect to see from this kind of show? Well, if the summary didn't give it away earlier, this show is meant to be as over the top and extreme as possible. That's its intention. That's how it wants to present itself. They want you to feel as horrible as possible for Kiaru, while feeling absolutely no pity for his abusers, so you can enjoy every spoonful of vengeance Yuppie gulps down. Simply put, if you love revenge fantasies, then this show could be for you. They do touch on topics like torture, rape, and drugging, and it also has its fair share of sex scenes and fan service, so be aware that this is part and parcel with this show. The animation isn't bad. What fight scenes I've seen have been really entertaining to watch. I'd also like to point out, as a side note, that I really love Kiaru's voice acting. Seeing his barely restrained insanity when he says stuff like heal, or even when he laughs is, I don't know, I love hearing him say it. The voice actor does real good here. So, is this anime worth watching? Well, if what I've said earlier ticks some of the boxes you enjoy with shows like this, then yeah, I'd say give it a watch. The story isn't very special, to be quite honest, and neither is the dialogue, but if you're in it to see the resolution of Kiaru's journey and how he goes on about that, then yeah, sure, go for it. Or give it a couple of episodes like I did to see how extreme the show gets sometimes. Don't expect anything special or mind-blowing though. Again, this show targets a very narrow audience, so temper your expectations, okay? As a quick bonus, if you wanted to keep up with Kiaru and the gang after this season ends, there are multiple ways to do that. The first would be the manga that has a bunch of chapters translated. The art's pretty good, so if you're into that, check it out. But the best way currently would be to follow the light novel itself, which is what all the others are based on. It has more than 8 volumes available last I checked. And if you wanted to delve deeper in the crazy world Kiaru's in, then this is it. Oh hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching this long. This is my first video, so I'm sure there are many mistakes I've made. So please let me know, because I do aim to improve and post more as well, alright? I'll see you in the next one.